Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something fascinating and, frankly, a little unnerving. We're talking about the Manipulators playbook and how the art of persuasion can be twisted into the science of control. Look inside the playbook of a high-pressure salesman and the playbook of a cult leader. You will find the exact same 6 rules of influence. So why is that? Well, it's because of this dark psychological paradox. The very same tools that help us build trust and make good, quick decisions are also the exact vulnerabilities that can be exploited to get us to agree to almost anything without even thinking. We're going to deconstruct this system, not just to understand it, but to build a real defense against it. So here's the plan. First, we're going to expose that shared playbook by laying out the 6 universal levers of influence. Then, we'll get into the overwhelm sequence, the specific pattern manipulators use. We'll look at why it works so well on our brains, and most importantly, we'll walk through a protocol to take back control. And finally, we'll see why simple awareness is your most powerful shield.
Alright, so what are these levers? At their core, they're just mental shortcuts that our brains develop to make fast, pretty effective decisions in social situations. You know, they're not inherently good or bad, they're basically the source code for how humans cooperate. Society literally couldn't function without them. But that also means anyone who learns to exploit that code gains a huge advantage. Let's break them down. First up is reciprocity. This is that simple, really powerful social rule that says if someone gives you something, you owe them. It's the glue that holds cooperation together. You know, a friend helps you move, and you feel that natural pull to help them next time. That's healthy reciprocity. It builds community.
Next, we've got commitment and consistency. We are just wired to stick to our guns. Once we make a choice or take a stand on something, we feel this massive internal pressure to behave in a way that's consistent with that decision. It helps us see ourselves as reliable, stable people. It's why we actually follow through on our goals.
And then there's social proof. Basically, when we're not sure what to do, we look around to see what everyone else is doing. It saves us a ton of time and energy. It's the reason you'll pick a busy restaurant over an empty one, right? You just assume the crowd knows something you don't. It's a bet on the wisdom of the masses.
Fourth is authority. And this one is a biggie. From the time we're kids, we're taught to trust and obey experts. You know, doctors, teachers, scientists. And for the most part, this is a great thing. Society would fall apart if we didn't trust specialized knowledge. But it creates this powerful, almost automatic reflex to comply with anyone we see as being in charge.
Number 5 is liking. It's exactly what it sounds like. We're way more likely to say yes to people we know and like. It could be because they're similar to us, or they compliment us, or there's just a genuine connection. It's why a recommendation from a friend means more than a flashy ad. And finally, scarcity. The classic limited time offer. Opportunities just feel more valuable to us when they're rare, or when their availability is about to run out. Our brains are hardwired with a serious fear of missing out. FOMO, and it's a powerful kick in the pants to get us to act before it's too late. Okay, so this slide gets to the heart of the whole paradox. A friend helping you move, that's authentic reciprocity. But a manipulator, they counterfeit it. They give you some unsolicited gift to create a sense of obligation you never actually signed up for. See the difference? An artist selling a limited run of prints is using legitimate scarcity. A salesperson telling the 10th person that day, this is the last one in stock, that's counterfeit. The goal shifts from a win-win situation to just mindless compliance.
So here's the crucial part. Manipulators don't just use these principles one at a time. They weaponize them. They roll them out in a very specific, compounding sequence that's designed to systematically shut down your critical thinking one lever at a time. It's not just a single trick, it's a full-on assault on your ability to choose.
And this is the pattern. It's a 5-step cascade. Each step makes the next one more powerful, creating this psychological momentum that's almost impossible to stop once it gets going. It starts by making you feel indebted, then it traps you, disarms your logic, forces a quick decision, and then makes you feel like you made the right choice. Let's break this down. The whole sequence kicks off with step 1. This is the foundation for the entire trap.
It all begins with counterfeit reciprocity. The manipulator gives you something you never asked for. A flower at the airport, a free sample you didn't want. The goal isn't kindness, it's to weaponize our social programming. It creates this immediate, deeply uncomfortable sense of social debt. It's like a psychological itch. You feel this intense pressure to scratch by giving something back.
So once that feeling of debt is there and you're feeling a little off balance, the trap is sprung with step 2. Now they cash in on your feeling of obligation to get a tiny little yes. Can I just have a moment of your time? Would you mind just signing this petition? This is the counterfeit consistency principle at work, often called the foot in the door technique. Once you've agreed to that small, harmless-sounding request, your own brain starts pressuring you to agree to bigger and bigger requests, all to stay consistent with that first decision. Saying no now would feel wrong.
Okay, so the trap is set. Now, the next steps come in a rapid-fire blitz, and they're designed to completely overwhelm your rational mind.
At this stage, they just layer on the other principles to shut down your brain's logic center. Counterfeit authority shows up, a uniform, maybe a fancy but totally irrelevant title. Counterfeit liking is manufactured with insincere compliments or false claims that you have so much in common. And then comes the counterfeit scarcity. This deal is only for you and it's only for right now. The whole point of this barrage is to create an emotional, high-pressure storm where rational thought feels impossible. You stop thinking and you start just reacting.
So, why does this work so incredibly well? I mean, why do we fall for it even when there's that little voice in the back of our head screaming that something feels off? Well, it all comes down to a fundamental conflict between our brain's need for efficiency and the manipulator's need for control.
Our motivation is simple. We want efficiency. We want to take the mental shortcut because analyzing every single detail of every decision is just exhausting. We also desperately want to avoid the social stress of feeling indebted or the mental discomfort of being inconsistent. The manipulator's goal, on the other hand, is to engineer our compliance by exploiting those exact desires. They create so much internal pressure, obligation, fear of loss, you name it, that just saying yes feels like the fastest, easiest way to make all that discomfort go away.
All right, now for the most important part. Understanding the playbook is one thing, knowing how to counter it is everything. We can reassert control and short-circuit this whole sequence by using a simple but really powerful defensive protocol. Think of it as switching your brain from automatic to manual mode.
Here are the 3 steps. First, name the game. The second you feel that psychological pull, that weird pressure or sense of obligation, just stop. Consciously identify the tactic. Say to yourself, okay, this is a reciprocity play. Just naming it interrupts the automatic response. Second, separate the messenger from the message. If you're being swayed by a uniform or friendly smile, mentally strip it away. Evaluate the request on its own merit. And third, and this is the key, question the authenticity.
Let's apply this right now. When you feel that gut punch of urgency from a limited time offer, put up a mental firewall and ask this question. Is this scarcity real? Is this product actually about to disappear forever, or is this just a standard tactic designed to rush me into a decision? Is it genuine or is it counterfeit? That little pause for analysis is everything.
And when you're faced with a figure of authority, ask this. Sure, that actor in a lab coat looks like an expert, but is their authority actually relevant to the thing they're trying to sell you? A famous athlete endorsing a brand of car is using irrelevant authority. If it's not directly relevant, it's counterfeit. It's just there to trigger your compliance.
And for that very first, very powerful step, reciprocity, ask yourself this. You didn't ask for this gift. You were under absolutely no social or ethical contract to repay an unwanted debt. What is the actual real-world consequence if I just say no thank you and walk away? Almost every single time the answer is nothing. The obligation is counterfeit.
And all of this brings us to our final and honestly our most empowering conclusion. The entire system of manipulation, as complex as it seems, has a single point of failure. It depends completely on you running on autopilot.
These 6 levers, they're like the invisible architecture of social trust. They allow us to function as a society, to cooperate, to build things. But that dual nature means they can also be counterfeited to exploit that very trust, turning our greatest social strengths into our most critical vulnerabilities.
And this right here, this is the single biggest takeaway. You don't need to learn 1,000 different counter moves. You just need one thing, awareness. The moment you can see the lever being pulled, the moment you can name the game, the lie just loses all its power. The automatic response gets interrupted, and your conscious, rational mind takes back the controls.
So let's bring it all home. We've seen that ethical marketers and unethical manipulators pull from the exact same toolkit, those 6 psychological levers, because they are universal human shortcuts. But now you can see the pattern. The principles are activated sequentially, in a specific order, to overwhelm our ability to think clearly, forcing that mindless compliance. But that loop can be broken. By simply becoming aware, by naming the game, and by questioning the authenticity of the principle being used against you, you shield your decision-making. You take back control from the autopilot and put your rational mind back in the cockpit. And that awareness, that's the only shield you'll ever need.